Today we're going to look at the Scoia'tael cards for the Claw and Dagger expansion. Starting off with the common here, the Trickster. It's a 4 power, 4 provision elf bandit agent. Good old bandit agents getting some love in Scoia'tael. Kind of surprised we haven't had that many until now, other than the Deadeyes and such. Deploy, move the last played enemy unit to another row, and infuse it with whenever your opponent plays an elf, damage self by 1. Oh, this is interesting. So, first thing comes to mind, this can bypass immunity, so Scoia'tael Commander, not safe. So this is really good against her, in particular. Because you're probably playing an elf every turn, and then you can kill a Scoia'tael Commander. She'll probably get 2 units out, because you play one the turn you get her, and she'll play one more, but you can kill her. So it's a good answer. The other thing is, it is an engine. It doesn't have to stay alive to get its value, which is quite good as well. It's, you know, what's the one in, Northern Realms, the Knight one, the Squire, who infuses the effect? If it's a Knight, it's kind of like that, where you get the value over time without the Squire having to live. Except this time you don't have to live to get the order, because it's a deploy. So people always play like Squire with Amphibious Assault so they can use this effect. But here you don't really have to do that. You just play it, and the last played opponent's card gets the infused effect. Now, you do have to be playing elves for this to trigger, but I'm sure you're going to. And on average, well, I mean, you're at least going to infuse a 4 power guy, right? Pretty much always going to be infusing a 4 power guy, and then that does 4 damage to it over time. It's not like a removal immediately. The reason it works so well in Scoia'tael Commander is because she's immune, so you can't heal her or boost her or anything. This has some, and this seems pretty good if you're playing elves. I'm guessing elves will get more support then, because usually they release batches of cards that work well together. So probably going to see some more elf support here. And honestly, this works pretty well with the elves. I think this will at least see some testing. It is interesting in the way its effect works. But it's kind of like the Ardfen Light Cavalry in a way, where they have to have played a unit. But unlike the Light Cavalry, they don't have to play a unit every turn. Or, you know, if the unit dies, they don't have to play another one if you start doing damage again. Just whoever they've last played gets this effect. This seems pretty good. Obviously, you can purify it, but it's not the highest value purify. I think you're okay if they purify this. Yeah, this seems pretty good. Not amazing, but it seems pretty good. Next, we have the backup plan. 5 provision tactic. There's already a couple tactics in Scoia'tael. Damage the last played unit. Okay, we're going with the last played type of effects here. This one has it, the other one has it. So damage the last played unit by your opponent by 2, and create a bronze elf with a deployability that's not in your starting deck. So I see they've learned their lesson from, what's the Skellige one that spawns the wolf? I can't remember its name. They learned a lesson from that, and it has to be not your starting deck. You can't spam out some incredibly good card. But unlike that one, this is 5 provisions. So that one is, whatever, you know, that card's really good. Anyway, damage the last played unit by your opponent by 2. So you get 2 damage right away. Then you create a bronze elf with a deployability that's not your starting deck. Worth noting, several bronze elves have deploy effects that also do damage. The archer one, the melee/ranged, where it spawns a Deadeye if it kills something. There's Dobleton, a bowman, which does 2 or 3 depending where you are. Dobleton, a bomber, does 2 different ones. And then there's the one that does 4 to a unit if it's on the only thing on its row. So there's a lot of deploys you can get that do damage. That gives this potentially a reach of 6 for removal. And the one that does 4 damage I think is the highest. But you can pretty much expect this to do damage, like additional damage after you hit it with a tactic. So, interesting in that way. It's a way to get those cards into the game. Now this is one thing I always really liked about Hearthstone, is that they had, despite the RNG and randomness being really annoying, and that's ended up being why I quit, but the RNG and randomness in like their what is it, discover keyword, and like spawning random stuff, it lets you see all the cards in the game that normally wouldn't be put in decks. So I really like this, as long as it's not too random and not everywhere. But yeah, this is cool because it lets you see like bomber and stuff like that normally aren't in the game and people don't play. So that's interesting in that way. Is it good? I mean, it's not bad. Assume you're creating a 5 provision card and does 2 damage and creates a 5. That's pretty good. If it does 2 damage, it creates a 4. That's fine. You can take that. What you really don't want to see is like 3 bad elves, but it's making one with a deploy effect. And I think you're pretty much guaranteed to see damage if you're doing this and creating one with a deploy. I think you're pretty much guaranteed to see damage. I think almost all the deploy effects with the elves are damage effects. Anyway, this one seems pretty interesting, so that gives you a lot of options, and I quite like this. It gives you a way to do damage and get an elf in the same turn, and then you're going to play that elf. So it helps out with the other one. We just saw the Trickster. It means you're going to be able to play kind of like how waylays get bodies on the board when they do damage. Kind of like that. It's really useful to have cards that do that. But anyway, I like this one. I think it's good. Let's go see what the next stuff we have to offer is. That's the cargo token. That goes with this one. Sorry about that. So we have the Heist. 11 provision tactic. That is expensive. Not quite on a... Well, actually, that is on the level of Yorvith's Gambit. But yeah, it's going to be pretty good, hopefully. So it has Echo. Echo is interesting. We don't have that many Echo cards. But all it does is spawn 3 cargoes. Which is why the cargo token was so important. So we're getting 3 of these for 11 provisions. Doomed Order. It's a token, artifact. Order, trigger the deploy effect of a non-veiled, non-prepared, non-neutral soldier, agent, or bandit. Then infuse it with the prepared category and banish self. Units that were played this turn cannot be targeted. Oh, that hurts a lot. The played this turn of thing really hurts a bit. Because you want to be able to, like... Scoia'tael lets you double up on a deploy. This kind of lets you double up on a deploy too. Well, it does let you double up on the deploy, but not the same turn. So there are a lot of things that this does. I believe the prepared keyword is just here so you can not use the same thing twice, right? You can't, if you prepare, can't talk. If you give it the prepared status, you then can't use it again because it will not be non-prepared. So this is interesting. There are non-veil actually is a little bit annoying too. I don't think there's that many with veil though. It has to be non-neutral as well. Huh. This is interesting. We're going to have to give you a minute. We're going to have to go look at the cards that can be targeted for this. All right, let's go check out what we have for options. So we need to find non-veil, non-prepared, non-neutral, soldier, agent, and bandit, and they have to have a deploy effect. So let's look through the deploys. There are a couple options here which are actually quite good. Zoltan Warrior is a soldier, so he would do his 6 damage, well, the 3 damage twice, and spawn the Rowdy Dwarfs. He is a fantastic target for this. That is a really good target. Some of these aren't the right categories. We're just going to go over the ones that we come to mind. Saskia is a soldier, so you could spawn, her spawn's about 5 points. That's not bad. Like 5 points for one of these things, which gave you, is worth like 4 provisions basically. Still less than 4. It's not bad either. Vernaciel obviously could be incredible, but you can't do it the same turn. The cargo actually kind of seems really good. There's a lot of synergies here. He's a warrior, not a soldier. Eldane you could do, but I don't think Eldane's... I mean, if you've already transformed them, well, it doesn't really matter. Yorvith is nice because you can get their trap. There's so many options. This is the one that's scariest, though, with Vanadane. You can get 2 more waylays for your waylay deck. That is very interesting. Very interesting. I don't like waylays, so we'll see if that becomes up. You can also do Elias here. That's not bad. And then you can obviously, he's not a category, so you can't use him. But Isengrim give you that big boost to all your guys. You've got Dennis is a, can't hover him for some reason. Yo, Gwent Library, can we please have the full functionality of the Gwent in-game search, by the way, sometime, please? Anyway, so you can use his. His isn't bad either. You have Teruviel. We're just going to go over like the gold ones because the bronzes aren't as good value generally. But you can use her row effect again. That's nice. Sheldon's you could use. That's really nice. You kind of see. Got Yavin too. There's a lot of choices here. Unfortunately, Harold Gord is a crown splitter, not a bandit. So you can't actually double up on your finisher with him. You have to play him a turn early, but you can't. You also got like another lock with Ciaran. There's so many options here. Barclay wouldn't be bad. Scoia'tael Morelga is one that I've personally, one of the first ones I thought of. You'll have them both out theoretically, and you could use each one. So you could do 9 damage off of this one, and then 7 off of this one with the cargo. And then obviously you've got some bronze ones here. So as far as the deploy effects on the elves, by the way, quick double check on that one here. This does damage. This one does damage. Oh, it's 3 if it's the only thing in this row. I misspoke earlier. I said 4. It's 3. This does damage. This one heals and boosts. This one you're not going to want. It does damage, but only 1. This does movement. This creates a guy. Yeah, you're pretty... this does what? Also damage, right? Or this is hand boost. This is hand boost. This does damage. Got purify. Damage. Spawn a guy. I didn't mean to click on that. But yeah, so there are some very strong options for the heist. Enough options, I think this card is actually going to be very, very good. Like, I think you can actually just make a deck off of this. I think it's that strong. Because the cargo, the echo is really what does it, right? You get this thing twice. So in each round, you get 3 cargoes. Well, 2 rounds, you get 3 cargoes. And the cargoes, there are some abilities that are just so strong if you reactivate them. Because think about it this way. You're paying 11 provisions for the heist. Means you're paying approximately 4 provisions per cargo. Think back on all those cards we looked at, right? Is it worth 4 provisions to trigger this again? Of course it is. Is it worth 4 provisions to trigger like another trap? Yeah, traps cost more than 4 provisions. Is it worth 4 to get 2 more waylays? Yeah. Is it worth 4 to even just spawn 2 Deadeyes? Arguably, yes. 4 provisions to use Iceram's order again? Yeah, that's really good because if you think about it, Bone Talisman's like a 7 or something. And there's just so many of these that are actually really good. Like this one, if it say it's doing 5 damage or 6 damage, is it worth doing 6 damage for 4? Yeah, you see people run Gunning Slash and stuff, and that's conditional. So, and like these, the Scoia'tael and Morelga are the ones I'm super excited about, although they're kind of harder to keep alive. But there's just a lot of value. And even if you don't have those, there's enough in the bronzes that it's not awful, right? Like dealing 3 damage and spawning someone if you kill with the archer, that's good. Dealing 3 damage, it's not amazing. That's actually one of the worst ones. But I think this is the best bronze one, probably. But you have options that aren't terrible. And the nice thing about some of these, like Scoia'tael and Morelga, they are golds, but they're also just 6 provision golds. So that's not bad either, right? And you can always use a Siren Lock. The only thing is there has to be enough of these to really... Like, Teruvial's not bad either, like the row damage twice. That's pretty good. So, I think... Didn't mean to give you a preview of the next card, but I think this is actually really good. The effect is certainly worth it. My only question is, are there enough worthwhile deploys to retrigger? Because you can't do the same one twice unless you're purifying the prepared effect, which you can do, right? You can purify the prepared effect. I mean, I'm sure we're going to see at least a couple meme decks where they purify off Vanadane and put like 12. Is it 12? 1, 2, 3, 6, 8, 13? I think you can do 13, right? You have 2, and then Vanadane creates 2, and then you would trigger it 3 more times. You can do 11 with the scenario. I mean, you can make a meme deck and do 11 Waylay sim losses if you have enough purifies. So that is very good as a finisher, obviously, but that's probably more of a meme. But you see what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of options for this. The only thing is you want to be triggering all 3 of these on good targets. Which means that if you look at the cards we saw earlier, they don't all synergize well together. I don't think you want to run Zoltan and Vanadane, for example, in the same deck. So I'm not too sure about that. But I think you can make a deck with cargo. Like, I think the heist is good enough and the cargo effects are good enough that you can find a spot for this. And I'm actually very curious about playing it in Harmony. But, like a Harmony deck already uses different categories. I don't think that'll actually work out very well because a lot of the things that you want to trigger deploys on aren't Harmony cards. But maybe you could do something make something work there. Just whenever you see a lot of cards of different types that are supposed to go in a deck, I think of Harmony. But yeah, I think this is actually quite strong. I think it just might be hard to make the deck work with it. Kind of like Collusion, right? Collusion can be very strong. Depends on the meta, as everything. But it can be strong, but you have to figure out a way to make the deck work together, which is the hard part, right? Like, I think this might be a hard deck to build, but it might be very good if you do. And I'm also not sure if there's more prepared synergies, right? Like, the next card we're going to see does have a prepared synergy. I know that much at least. But I'm not sure how many others. Like, they might add other cards that want to be prepared or something later on. So the prepared effect, the prepared infuse might actually be a benefit at some points. But anyway, enough talking about this one. It's very interesting. The Heist, the Echo really helps it. Really helps it. But we'll see. I think it's good. I think you can make a deck with it. I'm not sure it's like a competitive meta deck. But the fact that you're creating the cargos, the problem with the cargo is, like I said, the big thing holding it back might be that you can't trigger a unit the turn you play it. Like, you can't trigger deploy the turn you've played it. But there's just so much value that it might just matter anyway. Worth noting, this is bad in a short round. Okay, you get a 3-card short round, you play this, you get the cargos, you play 1 unit, you can't even trigger it that turn. The next turn you can do it, and that's it. So worth noting, this is bad in a short round, but I mean, there's other cards that are bad in short rounds that are still really good. So moving on to the last card here, we have the Talayan Ape Cullen. I probably pronounced that wrong, I'm sorry. Elf Bandit Agent, 8 power, 13 provision. So this is going to be a big payoff of the deck. This is probably what you want to be focusing on, I'm guessing. So deploy, shuffle an allied unit with provision cost of 9 or less into your deck, and play the top elf with a deploy ability from your deck. So there's 2 things here. Actually, well, now we can get 13 waylays if you want to. But yeah, so you can put back Vanadane. But there's a couple options here. 1, you could put back Vanadane and then hopefully play him again. 2, you can just put back something that's low power with a deploy. Say the archer that does 3 damage. Like, you play that, you do the 3 damage, you kill something, you get a Deadeye. You put it back in with this, and then you replay it potentially, or anything else from your deck. So you can also recycle big cards, right? So this is very interesting. I made a video on decoy at some point, and a lot of that is going to apply here. It's, do you want to save your big cards for later? Very few ways to do that and use them again. You can do that, or you can try and put back something small and get something big. Yeah, this is very interesting. Note by the way, that the allied unit doesn't have to have a deploy, right? So you can shuffle anything back. This should still work if you... It's not Yu-Gi-Oh! There's no if-then here. Playing a lot of... Yeah, so playing Master Duel lately. Anyway, so if you shuffle back an Elven Deadeye, it should still trigger, right? The Deadeye would get banished, but you should still get the Elf. That's not bad either. Just putting back a token, losing 3 points for a guy off the top of your deck. That's not bad. The only problem is that the power and provisions. But we actually didn't even finish this effect yet. So order, spawn, and play backup plan. So that makes its deploy pretty much worth it on paper. So you get the deploy you've order, spawn, and play backup plan. If this card is prepared, infuse self with at the end of your turn damage random enemy unit by the number of allied prepared units set. So this you definitely want to be using with the Heist. I think this gets removed. I think it's a removal priority. Order, spawn, and play backup plan is definitely pretty good. It gives you like probably like 4 damage or something. We were talking about backup plan. It's the one that creates elf with a deploy. So that's pretty nice. Yeah, the order is pretty good. And then the prepared infuse is only with the order. So you have to use the order. Again, this is not a great... Well, actually, this one's not bad in a short round, right? You play this, like, not last, and you get 8 points. You shuffle maybe a token. Maybe you use a leader, get an Elf Deadeye token. You get another guy out of your deck. And then you play the backup plan the next turn. It's not bad in a short round. But the infuse effect is quite interesting. So the most prepared units you can have currently is 3. Three damage per turn, albeit you have to wait until probably 4 or 5 turns into the round. Actually, I think 5 turns you'd have to wait to get that. But anyway, you do that, 3 damage per turn. This has a very high potential and I think you just want to kill it every time they play it. But if you kill it when they play it, like, they've gotten more value than just the 8 points it provided. If you play this, it gives them 8 points, and then hopefully you get value out the deploy. Hopefully you get value out the deploy. I think this is a very strong finisher for the Heist deck. I think that deck might actually be pretty good. We'll see. The problem is, like, the short rounds, I think, for it won't be very good, but at least this is good in a short round. Yeah, this card's very cool. Let me know what you guys think. This set of cards, I'm least certain on how good they are, but I want to know your guys' opinion. Let me know, and we'll see you in the next one. That'll be it for this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next time. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more. And you can check out some more videos over here. And thanks for watching.